So I hope you found some time to refresh a bit. So it's 11 o'clock and we are a bit behind the schedule, but now I think we have to move quickly to the next session. Before doing this, I forgot to mention in the last session that the Spire-Sais rollout will take place this year. So there will be an announcement of Spire-Sais workshops within specific regions and countries, but this has to be done. I think it will be autumn or maybe summer this year that we could start the first rollout workshops to the member states, the sectors, and the different regions. Then let me just start the next session with a short poll. Concerning the rollout of the European blueprint, which levels are the most important ones from your perspective? So please answer that we can get a common picture of the audience. In which direction the rollout should be focused a bit. I hope you can see it now. So you see that the local, regional, and the national member state level are of utmost importance, but also there are 17%, about 15% concerning the European level. So I think we will have a good, try to find a good balance to integrate all the different levels in our rollout, but it's good to see, or important to see where you are, which levels you are prioritizing. Okay, so thanks a lot for this feedback. Now the next topic is good practices and challenges from other blueprints and skills programs. So we will have, let's say, a short run through four different projects and practices. The first one will be the European Steel Skills Alliance, which will be presented by Dean Stroud from Cardiff University. Dean is a senior lecturer teaching and researching in the area of skills and workforce development, especially in relation to the workplace and also the organization of vocational education and training and the role of trade unions therein. He is engaged in a number, or was and is engaged in a number of research projects exploring workers' experience and education and training, very much related to the workplace. Dean, the floor is yours.
Hi. Hi. Tony, am I showing my screen then, or are you?
We have integrated it in our presentation.
Right. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for your nice introduction. Could you put my slides up, please? There. Thank you. So, yes, thank you for the introduction, Tony, and thank you for the invitation to speak about the Essa project today, or the European Steel Skills. I thought it was agenda, Tony, not alliance, but Steel Skills agenda or alliance today. So this is a project that aims to address the future skill needs of the European steel industry, and it's particularly focused on skill needs emerging from Industry 4.0 and digital technologies, and the need to decarbonize and green the industry as well. So what I'll briefly outline for you today is the blueprint strategy we've adopted to help us address industry needs. So next slide, please. So what's important to the blueprint is sustainability, and in that sense, the permanent implementation and running of Essa, The roadmap towards this incorporates the Foresight Observatory, which provides the overarching frame for Essa governance and structure. It structures the specific measures for tackling industry needs. It's the systematic process for assessing and forecasting skill needs and coordinating the relevant measures and activities at the European level. In particular, on the demand side, we have the European Foresight Panel, or ETP, which will comprise a biannual survey of technological developments and emerging industry demands in terms of skills particularly, and an expert panel to discuss those observations, their observations of the industry and the survey results, out of which the measures and strategies will flow. The Steel Hub meets the supply side. It's at the center of the online training ecosystem we're developing. In a very basic way, and I'll say more about it later, it's a repository of steel training programs from numerous sources. It's hosted by World Steel, and the Steel University provides an online training resource for the industry, integrating steel industry job profiles and skills with ESCO mapping of learning outcomes. The ECOP, or Regional Training Ecosystem, or the European Community of Practice Regional Training Ecosystem, is a means to develop a national regional collaboration for proactive and common skills adjustments in the steel sector, which are sensitive to national and regional needs. And the foundation for the community of practice is the regional rollouts, and these have been conducted so far across 8 regions, steel producing regions, in the first phase, and we'll have a second phase later this year with other regions planned to be added. Next slide, please. So the governance structure for Essa comprises the European Steel Technology and Skill Foresight Observatory and the European Community of Practice, which addresses both the demand side and the skills requirements or needs demands, and the supply side, which comprises the training offers and exchanges, the industry image and recruitment activities that are part of the project. And it's built on a division of responsibilities, clarified and checked with the European Steel Associations and the social partners, including ESTEP, the European Steel Technology Platform, Eurofair, the Employers Association, and Industrial, the Trade Union Federation, which have oversight of the Skills Foresight Panel, the Steel Hub, and the regional training ecosystem. So I'm going to say a bit more now about the Steel Hub and the regional training ecosystem. So the online training ecosystem is conceptualized through the Steel Hub, which sits at the center of Essa, providing the infrastructure for a European and worldwide exchange of training content, integrating inputs from and serving offers to steel associations and companies, vet systems, research centers, other blueprints, European tools, and the non-formal and informal learning of individuals. So the Steel Hub is a core element of Essa that bridges education and industry and incorporates new ways to address new skill demands in relation to job profiles within company training provision. It's overseen by the Essa Foresight Observatory as a continuous monitoring and exchange framework for the skill demands side that informs continuously the online and regional training ecosystem learning arrangements as the supply side, which pivots around this Steel Hub. There's a link at the bottom of this slide, which is a bit buried below my bar here, but there's a link there that will take you to more information about the Steel Hub. Next slide, please. So I'm going to need you to press the button a few times as we go through. So there's several elements or components to the Steel Hub. there's just a selection here. So there's a competence map that's linked to job profiles. There's a vocational education and training matrix, which is concerned with the link between what is supplied by vocational education and training systems, and in that sense, beginning to identify the gaps between what VET provides and what the steel industry needs, and a repository of technology developments, and what you might expect in terms of a training resource, an assessment and content library, amongst those other components there. What else I want to say about the Steel Hub is that it's based on 4 main pillars. Now, the first is sustainability, which is really important, as I said at the beginning. So it aims to facilitate a collaborative ecosystem to ensure the sustainability of access to high quality, up-to-date and innovative training resources, with a continual improvement process built in. We also ensure confidentiality, complying in this respect with GDPR regulations. So that's to preserve the learner's information, follow strict privacy policies, as well as keep anonymous the information used to measure the performance of the training ecosystem. A third pillar is innovation. So in this sense, it facilitates access to the best and most modern training techniques like 3D modeling, simulators, games, and challenges to ensure that participants are engaged in what we regard as a high quality learning experience. And finally, we do ensure quality within the Steel Hub. We match training content to learners' needs, based on a content curation process within the industry's standard competence map. So that's linking the job profiles to the competencies required as they develop. And the content quality itself is ensured by feedback of the thousands of users of the Steel Hub that there is worldwide. Next slide, I think you might have a few more there, yes. And finally, a bit more about the community of practice, which filters the demand side and identifies through the Foresight Observatory and panel the emerging needs and the necessary skill adjustments at national, regional and local levels. I voted local in the poll that Tony just ran. I think that's the important level. We acknowledge that there are differences in vocational education and training systems and skill needs across Europe and Europe's steel producing countries and regions. So it's not a one size fits all solution that we're looking for. So this means that what we prioritize is the regional rollouts, which bring together stakeholders within each country and region to understand the needs locally and regionally, and build platforms for addressing them through the online training ecosystem and in other ways sensitive to the existing stakeholder dynamics at that level. The outcome is a foundation for a community of practice for addressing necessary skill adjustments at that level. Just as one example to say a little more, we have conducted one rollout in the South Wales region in Cardiff in November 2021. This drew together trade unions, steel companies, regional cluster organisations. There I'm referring to the South Wales Industrial Cluster, training providers such as ourselves and Swansea University and others, who Swansea is closely linked to Tata at Port Talbot and provides a lot of their training, to understand how Essa can feed into how the South Wales region, which is host to Tata and Celsa steel plants, can meet emerging skill needs and bring better coordination in tackling them. So this coordination now is extending also to in Wales, regional skill partnerships in the south, mid and west and north of Wales, sector skills councils such as Ingenuity, which covers engineering for the steel sector, and qualification authorities such as Qualification Wales to build cooperation on skills issues within the steel sector and actually beyond, sort of steel plus. So at the second rollout this summer, we plan workshops to both consolidate the work of Essa and extend it to wider national and regional discussions on skills issues for heavy industry. And I think, Tony, that brings me to the end.
Yes, thank you, Dean, for giving us these insights. And I think we have to add that these processes are running now in 7 countries, 7 regions, more or less different in a different way, integrating the willing and engaged stakeholders. And this might answer the remark of Felix Rohn in the chat as well. So thank you very much, and I will come back with some questions later, but now I want to introduce Jakub Stolfa, representing allbatts. He's a program manager and academic staff member of the Technical University of Ostrava in the Czech Republic. He is also coordinating the DRIVES project, that's the automotive blueprint, beside his engagement in allbatts, and he's focusing on sustainable and pragmatic approach towards skills agenda and skills alliances, and also for the Pact for Skills partnership in automotive mobility. So the floor is yours, Jakub. Nice to see you again. Could you share your screen? Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Tony, and good still morning, at least in Czech Republic, to everyone all around. And let me just, because now I lost you, but anyhow, you can see my screen. I can't see you, but you at least can see me, so that's great. So happy to be here, and thank you for the invitation, and very nice introduction to the work that I with my team do. And I will guide you through that a bit. I will try to also highlight how we roll out and what practical actions we did. In this presentation, I didn't highlight it so much the results, like in the terms of what are, for instance, the technical skills needs, what are the soft skills needs, what are the specific skills, because that might be seen in our results and in different presentations. But I have focused directly on the rollout and this collaboration that I believe is essence of today's session that we are part of. So once again, thank you, and let's dive into the presentation. So, of course, representing the automotive mobility ecosystem, you know that the automotive mobility ecosystem, as well as, of course, others, but especially is impacted by the transition towards the basically green and digital transformation, decarbonization, electrification, and other changes in the automotive ecosystem. And that, of course, requires massive upskilling and reskilling activities. And that requires these activities mainly also on the regional levels, local levels, national levels, as it was also discussed at today's conference, that of course the changes are happening there. But of course, this also requires the European collaboration and sharing the best practices and also the trends and where the sector is heading to. So the automotive sector going to the massive transition and transformation nowadays. And basically, what are the initiatives when we have a look at the strategic European initiatives that were done in the automotive ecosystem? There was a high-level group, Gear 2030, with the final report on the automotive competitiveness sustainability in 2017. As the practical actions in terms of skills agenda, we have launched the DRIVES project, and I will get there later on, with 24 partners covering the automotive ecosystem. In 2019, we have launched our sister Blueprint project focused directly on the batteries for electromobility sector and what are the skills needs there and skills offers. And then in 2020, and I will get there also at today's presentation, we have launched a large-scale partnership, as it was also presented today by Felix, a large-scale partnership in the automotive mobility ecosystem and called Automotive Skills Alliance. So let's go to the initiatives and our work there towards the rollout of the results. But firstly, what is DRIVES? That I am the coordinator. DRIVES, the Blueprint project, started in January 2018 and last till March 2022. And as we extended due to COVID impacts, and 24 partners from 11 European countries, also having on board the full partners, umbrella associations in the automotive sector, as ASEA, that's the Car Manufacturers Association, CLEPA, that's the Car Suppliers Association, or ETRMA, which is a Tire and Rubber Industry Association. And what were the main results of our work in the DRIVES project? We are having more results, of course, that you can find on the web page. But just to summarize the results in the sectoral intelligence, where we have focused on the skills needs and on the other hand, on the skills demands. So we have analyzed the sectoral skills needs, what are the specific technical skills that we have also find out, of course, the needs for the soft skills as learnability and so on. And then we have also analyzed the sectoral skills offer, what is offered there, what are not just the universities, but also secondary schools or lifelong learning providers, because we have to also focus a lot on the adult education and upskilling, reskilling, because the people are working nowadays in their job, and this job is diminishing, will be not there in future years. And we need to, of course, adapt on that and upskill, reskill those people that are already in the ecosystem, are already in the sector. And of course, on the other hand, there are newcomers to the sector. Then we have also specifically looked at the apprenticeship in the automotive sector, how we might help that, and what are the key issues and recommendations in this area. And also we have developed a guide to hire apprenticeship. And based on that, we have also released 3 versions and always yearly updated of the sectoral skills strategy and roadmap, which is the main document that shows the key actions that should be taken by the sectoral stakeholders, and nowadays are already taken and being done also, because one of the actions was also to establish the Automotive Skills Alliance as a large-scale collaboration. And the strategy and roadmap contains also specific actions targeted to specific groups of the stakeholders that should be taken. In the training offer, which is our second stream, we have, as a DRIVES project, defined 40 new or emerging job roles and described that, and that's publicly available on our website. From that, we have also, as a partnership, focused on the shop floor set. We focused on the definition and development and delivery of the massive online open courses. So we have developed 28 courses that are available on DRIVES learning platform, that you can see also the link on the slide. That's a platform which we are having as a tool to deliver really the MOOC courses, but also trainer interaction courses, so-called trainer interaction courses that are, for instance, moderated MOOCs or full MOOCs. So that is also one tangible and practical tool developed by the Blueprint project. And then secondly, also in the stream recognition, we have developed a pilot version of EU-wide database of training courses, regardless if it's developed by DRIVES, if it's developed by anyone else. That's like a catalog of the training courses offered towards the automotive ecosystem. I have seen some similar, of course, the approaches there, and of course, just the comment that, and as I have heard also by the previous speakers, but of course, we really need also to align our strategies cross-sector, but we can speak also later on about that. But we are having the specific framework for the automotive and mobility ecosystem, and where are the reference job roles on the one hand, and on the other hand, there are the training courses offered towards the industry and so on. And then, of course, we are also having good practice vessels tools, so good practices gathered and available for stakeholders to have a look at that. So that was the DRIVES project. And then secondly, as I also said, I'm involved in the second blueprint, which is the allbatts project, which is coordinated by Skellefteå municipality. And the project is focused on the overall sector in the batteries for electromobility. And we are looking there, and it's coherent, of course, with DRIVES project. We are looking there on the mobile applications of the batteries, but also on the stationary applications of the batteries, so in the energy grids and so on. And there we have, as the project is already also in its second, ended the second year of the project and entering the third year, we have developed already the sectoral skills strategy there with the concrete recommendations and actions to be taken in the battery sector, covering, of course, the whole life cycle, as you can see, from raw materials processing through the battery integration, applications, repair and maintenance, and then, of course, second use or recycling, which are also important perspectives on the batteries as such. And secondly, this blueprint project is developing the education and training, some kind of blueprint that should be taken as an example, and that should be taken as a rollout to the regions, to the member state countries, and so on, that could be followed. So all the results, again, you can find on the project website. And what's the rollout and the way forward, or legacy, also we might say, for the DRIVES blueprint project? Of course, we can have a look on that from the several perspectives. And firstly, sectoral intelligence gathered by those projects. And now I'm mainly saying, because allbatts is still continuously updating and gathering that, which also helps, of course, but DRIVES, of course, as it's ending this month, gathered an enormous amount of intelligence. And it means trends, skills needs, job roles descriptions, and so on, which already is supporting the regional and national implementations and serves as an example of that, what is needed, and basically is fundamental for possible regional and local updates. So these results are already serving in the regional and local updates. And of course, the strategy and roadmap on the European level, basically with concrete actions to take where the results of the sectoral intelligence. And secondly, also the training courses. These training courses directly supports the upskilling, reskilling activities. And we have upskilled, reskilled more than 1,300 people throughout those courses, throughout our platform. So that directly went to the companies and their employees. And secondly, it's also the basis and ready to use materials for education and training providers. They might freely use it through the platform in their education and training courses. So that's a direct rollout also of those results. And then also that's done by the tools that we taught, of course, already about the sustainability and pragmatic approach, as said also in the introduction, pragmatic approach, how to, of course, update it so that it doesn't end with the project duration, but how this will be updated throughout. So it means how we will approach sectoral skills intelligence update and how we will work with that further. So we are having a learning platform, this EU-wide framework of micro-credentials and good practices sharing. And I know that we are heading maybe to the last minute, but that's Tony, as I see you, but that's the main essence here in the last minute that I would like to say. This is rollout and legacy, and it's about the community establishment and linking and connection the dots, because there is a plenty of interesting initiatives on the regional national level. And with the Pact for Skills approach and with the Pact for Skills collaboration that we are doing through the Automotive Skills Alliance, and nowadays with more than 80 members, including industry, education, training provider, social partners, regions, and other organizations, we are enabling the cross-regional collaborations, sharing the best practices, and working together on the update of the things that were done, of course, by the blueprint projects, but not only, but also the regional and other projects. And the Alliance has the possibility and provides mainstreaming of the project results to the other regions, to the European level, and so on. And also, on the other hand, provides the possibility to do rollout of the results of the European projects such as drives to the regions that are appreciating that and of course need that. So that's our way together to enable the massive workforce upskilling and reskilling activities, update intelligence, use our tools that I have said, serve as a platform for exchange the best practices. Some of our members from the industry side, from the social partners side, which is also very important perspective, education and training providers on all levels, and as said, also very important regions and municipalities that are already in the alliance and more coming because of course the change is happening in the regions, and some concrete pilot projects that are happening in the short time. I can just highlight, for instance, Moravian Silesian region, which is also building on the results of drives and allbatts and planning massive upskilling, reskilling of 5,000 people in the region in the mobility ecosystem towards green and digital transformation of the coal and energy intensive region, changing to the green and digital region with the possible support of the Just Transition Fund mechanism there. So those are the pilot regional projects under the Pact for Skills collaboration and more coming. Thank you for that. I hope I was not so long, Tony, and happy to answer some questions here or also later through the email. So thank you for having me here.
Yes, thank you, Jakub, for this impressive presentation. Two short questions. I like very much to look for the collaboration of the different blueprints, because we are also active in the Moravian Silesian region with the Essa project, as far as I remember. And looking at allbatts, I think there is a collaboration also across different sectors. So industrial symbiosis might also be important element of this. And one question: how is this Automotive Skills Alliance coordinated with so many partners?
Of course, very good question. Of course, it's challenging, and basically, I am the main coordinator of this alliance, strongly supported by the enabling and establishing members EACEA, CLEPA, ETRMA, and SECRA, which are the umbrella associations in the automotive. But of course, this is done, and Tony, you have also said it when you spoke about the Pact for Skills previously at today's conference. It is about that that alliance didn't start it from scratch. Alliance started from the work that we were doing here for years with the collaboration with the regions as the blueprint projects, or even before the blueprint projects. So this is the community that we are building for years, and now, of course, coming to the alliance. Alliance is having, and I'm not having it here in the slides, 4 main working groups, and then subgroups with the dedicated leaders, with the active partners that are willing and basically investing their time to work in the alliance, with, of course, the coordination of all of that work. So, for instance, we are having Valeo leading, which is the tier 1 company, which is leading and some big supplier in the automotive, which is, for instance, leading system and software standards group in the automotive. Yeah, so there are really the dedicated companies or organizations that are taking care of their practical actions within the working groups, and then, of course, we coordinate it from the top. We are also having, just very quickly, regional implementation group where we coordinate the work within the regions, implementing, of course, the project and sharing the best practices there. But of course, I have to say, it's always challenging to coordinate such a number of organizations.
Okay, yes, thank you. I really can imagine, and therefore I was very curious about it. But as you said, you need the industry associations to move in this direction. Okay, let's quickly go now to the Insight project presented by Yannick Festas. He's a consultant and project manager at EACEA. worked on various climate action plans, is an expert in climate change adaptation, and is active in circular economy projects, notably in industrial symbiosis and waste management. So please, Yannick, take over and give us some insights in your Insight project.
Thank you very much, Antonius. You hear me well?
Yes, fine.
Okay,
yeah,
fantastic. You can move ahead with the slide. Thank you very much for inviting me here and to present the Erasmus project. I see some issue with the layout of the slide, but that's not an issue. So, well, first of all, thank you very much for getting me the opportunity to present a bit the Insight project, and then I'll talk about the rollout and the good practice and challenges that we have faced. So yeah, you can move to the next. So basically, first of all, the Insight project is an Erasmus project. It's a partnership between 6 partners in Belgium, Spain, Slovenia, Italy, and Romania. And we are now reaching the end of the project. So it was from September 2019 until now. And yeah, you can move to the next slide. So basically, the key objective of this project is, first of all, to provide skills for a new profile that we identified, which is the industrial symbiosis facilitator. So basically, the first importance that we want to mention here is, and I think that's quite key to what we've seen today and across all the sectors, is that there are several skills that are needed to set and to put in place industrial symbiosis. And the vision of the Insight project is really to foster in industrial symbiosis through this new job profile, which is the industrial symbiosis facilitator. And our vision is to empower these facilitators as key enablers of EU in the circular economy. What does that mean? It means that we've noticed, and that was also the start and the origin of this project, that industrial symbiosis is not easy to put up and to set up, and you really need dedicated people with specific skills to facilitate the process of setting that up. And because there is not so much existing training about that, the Insight project proposed to deliver this training. So if you move to the next slide. So the project went through different phases. The first one was indeed to confirm, let's say, our assumptions. So to study with different experts and talking with different interviews in the different countries on actually what are the skills that are needed for this profile of industrial symbiosis facilitators. So indeed, if we realize that we want to have this symbiosis put in place, well, we need that these people to help within a park, for example, to help the companies talk to each other, and that should understand what are the benefits that could help the companies to put up business plan and so on. So we contacted a lot of different stakeholders to say, okay, what are the key skills that are needed, and a lot of soft skills actually are needed to make the facilitation, while the hard skills would be in general already proprietary to the companies, and they would deliver the need in that case. And so we've developed this skills agenda, and then we've developed this curriculum to provide these skills, and we've developed the teaching material to respond to this to create a cursus for this position of facilitator. And so just this month we've finally put up this courses on an online e-learning platform, which is available for training. It's free, so anybody can go and follow this course. So I invite all the people present here to disseminate further this information, that this is a training material available for industrial symbiosis facilitation. And then one last point that we have done in this project is the blueprint for industrial symbiosis. Now, our project is an Erasmus project mainly focused on the training material and the e-learning platform. So this blueprint, when I compare to the different blueprints that were presented today, is at a lower scale, let's say, but it is really focused on how to support the training and the facilitation facilitation of these of the industrial symbiosis and its facilitation. And so we've contacted the different vets association in the different countries and so on to see how basically our training and similar training could be included into their programs, or how they can which recommendation they can do to facilitate or to support the facilitation of industrial symbiosis in the different partner countries. Can move to the next slide. So what I must say about the blueprint that we've done, first of all, the good practice that we've done from inside is start from existing material on the blueprint. So there's already a lot of work done on different blueprints and in the different sectors and so on. And so I think that that for the Spire-Sais, but also in the other project, a lot of sectors and have already, or companies have already good ideas, and so you really need to start from the existing and no need to reinvent the wheel often, although there is need for novelty, of course. Then we've also showcased what's new and what's working, because there's actually a lot of things working in different areas of Europe, and I think that's the goal also of the Spire-Sais. But we really want it's really important, and we've tried to do that at our level for the facilitation of industrial symbiosis. And then we've all involved external stakeholders all along the way, because I think that's really important to have feedback on the different draft and how to make the different document relevant for the end users, and not to be in silo, let's say. Move to the next slide. The key challenge for us on our blueprint was to have let's say target and recommendation that are high enough, but on the other hand that we should stay realistic. And what I want to say that is that, for example, we've as the European project, we're countrywide, and what is very let's say easy, for example, or already in place in some countries of the partnership, is really novel and pushing far in some other countries of the partnership. And so just by sharing these good practices, it's good, but then on the other hand, if you do a blueprint that is too ambitious, then the countries that have that have a bit gap to fill, this gap is widening. But on the other hand, if you want to push the countries that are a bit in advance, you need also to be quite ambitious. So that's a challenge that is not easy to manage on the right level of ambition, let's say. And the same goes about the general the EU level versus local level. We really faced issues about giving recommendation to local vet support or local and regional offices, while we were often giving recommendation at a high level or European level, because if you need to dig into the details of the specific laws that are in places at local level, then the blueprint becomes very very tedious, let's say. And so that this is also another challenge. And the last challenge for us, for our project, is the diffusion time before the end of the funding, because we're reaching the end of our project, and we would like to continue diffuse that, and that's why I'm here today. But it's really important to spend time explaining after building the blueprint, to spend time with a lot of stakeholders to continue talking about it and setting it in place, and keep not just have it as one document or one vision, but then nobody keeping pushing for that to happen. We can move to the next slide. Regarding the skills programs that we've developed, so we've developed this training program, and I think yes.
One minute, please.
Yes, I'll go very quickly then. What is important for us here, I will just go quickly, is that we've made an online program, but we actually need we want to continue further with in-person training, because online program is good, but to learn soft skills is really important to go with in-person training. You can move to the next one. This is actually the challenge that I mentioned, and then we will need to keep this material up to date and keep the diffusion before the end of the project. So that these are the challenge for the building of the material, let's say. We can move to the next. And so now our rollout activities very quickly. So we've finished all our projects. So what we are left to do now is to continue to inform people about our recommendation, which and ask them to sign a memorandum of understanding that they want to support this facilitation, and then also continue to diffuse the fact that this course is available, and that we want people to register to it, to learn these skills, to be able to facilitate industrial symbiosis. And that's what I'm doing now, to try to raise awareness about what we've done. And I'm going to finish with this. So yeah, if you want to know more, obviously you can contact me and go on the website of the training.
Yes, Yannick, thank you very much for our Spire-Sais blueprint. It's a very important work you did on the industrial symbiosis facilitator and the training for this, let's say, new position, a new job profile. And I think that's very much important, and we should find a way to cooperate also after the project funding of your project. One question on the chat: for which occupations concretely in the various energy intensive industry did you develop new training content?
Yeah, so this is kind of important. What we've provided as content is a very generalist content, in the sense that for us, what we have seen that is more to train, for example, a park manager. So if you have an industrial park, or for example a port or something like that, well, that's the manager of this port, of this park, would play a role as facilitator, and would organize meeting between the different entities involved, and try to launch Symbiosis. And so the person organizing this should not be as such a very specialist in one energy intensive sector, or in one specific industry. The goal here is to give the general knowledge about what the benefits could be for a specific example, and we have examples of different industries, of course, but it's way more about the facilitation process than being technical about one specific industry. And yes, I'm very open to include that in a lot of existing training database. We're trying to work with EACEA and with other EU platform, but of course, national platform are also an option to just spread the information.
Yes, thank you very much also for your contribution to industrial symbiosis skills, new skills. Now we should go quickly to the next presentation, which is held by Luigi Lo Piparo from Technopolis. He's a partner in the Technopolis groups and has more than 20 years experience in the management of large-scale European funding projects and programs. He works very closely with institutional and private operators at the European, national, regional, and local level, and currently he is leading several projects in the field of green transition, including the CircLean, which is the European Network of Business and SMEs for Industrial Symbiosis. Please, Luigi, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Antonio, for the invitation and for the nice presentation. For just the technical thing, do you want me to operate the slides, or are you going to do it?
I think we have uploaded it.
Fine, okay, but then we can move on, please, to the first one. So, CircLean, yes, this is what we're going to talk about today. It is a project funded by the European Commission through a budget line from the European Parliament in reality, but it is led on behalf of the Commission by DG GROW, the unit in charge of green and circular economy. And they see, as it is also confirmed in several underpinning documents of the Green Deal, that industrial symbiosis is a powerful means to contribute to achieving climate neutrality by 2050. Still, action was necessary, and one of the actions that the Commission thought was necessary was to initiate the work that CircLean is developing. The duration of the project that started in 2019 is of 36 months, so the project will end in November this year. And while Technopolis is leading the consortium, we are well supported by ISL, Trinomics, Arctic, and then as Tier 2 partners, we have Spire, of course, ICR Plus, and the AT Raw Materials. In a few words, the project is about enabling mainstreaming of industrial symbiosis EU-widely by setting up a network that is industry-led. So the Commission really wanted to make a tool available for the industry and businesses to exchange on some specific aspects of industrial symbiosis that were considered to be limiting the unlocking of its potential. Can we please move to the next slide? So the challenges that underpin the genesis of the project are based on a study that Technopolis, also with ISL, carried out in 2018, from which it emerged that despite the benefits of industrial symbiosis were clear from the environmental, economic, and social point of view, at the same time, and they can be measured, for instance, just to give you a few figures, in about 73 billions of in cost savings through landfilling diversion, and 13 billions through transactions of secondary raw materials and byproducts. Still, the study, one of the study findings was that there was a lack of motivation in the framework for industrial symbiosis to actually grow, and also a lack of standardized evidence base regarding the recognition and awareness about the impacts that I just mentioned and the benefits that locally could be and nationally could be achieved in the different areas. As a response, through CircLean, the project focuses on elaborating and having its members endorsing a voluntary common approach for monitoring and reporting of industrial symbiosis transactions, while in parallel promoting its uptake, the uptake of this approach. The next slide, please. So why is the CircLean network set up? Because it raises awareness on the market potential of industrial symbiosis. The companies that engage into industrial symbiosis with the help of the tools offered by the network that I'm going to talk in a moment about contribute to the increased competitiveness of those businesses, to also the application of resource material and circular economy approaches to their practices. With regards to public authorities, they benefit from having a better overview of how their economic operators can or are becoming more competitive or achieving more, contribute to achieving the climate targets, while by knowing exactly what transactions are going on and fostering these processes. It offers a common approach for monitoring and reporting of industrial symbiosis transactions based on the needs of the industry and the real capacity. And overall, it increases the visibility that the businesses can achieve through these kind of practices by also, among other things, strengthening the linkages to the corporate social responsibility dimension that every company usually pays attention to. The next slide, please. Who is the target audience of CircLean? The primary one is the industry. So large companies, small and medium enterprises mainly. Then also we have the business associations as well. Public authorities, notably regional and city governments that became members of the network. And then we have the fourth category consisting of research and innovation players. So we have, as you can see, users in terms of industrial symbiosis transactions, those that actually carry out the transactions or benefit from them directly, the public authorities, and then the facilitators. Next slide, please. The key features of the network are that it is white, it is flexible because it tries to be needs-centered, so it needs to be adjusted. It has been co-created from the beginning until now with the members. It is aims to be sustainable because it would like the Commission would like the membership to carry out the project beyond the end of the EU funding. And it is evolutive because obviously it adjusts to the new techniques, new needs, new opportunities that affects positively or negatively the sector. The next slide, please. Main achievements, first of all, well, beyond mentioning the setting up of a secretariat that currently is run by the partners of the consortium and that coordinate the work of the members, the network also has been launched. It is expanding and it counts now 50 members throughout the different categories. We have a finalized methodology for the monitoring and reporting of industrial symbiosis transactions. We have also released on the web already tools, notably a self-assessment readiness module, so that an SME or a large company can see how well positioned they are to engage into industrial symbiosis and then act accordingly. A matching tool that is a very operational tool whereby a user, so a company or a large company, can trade secondary raw materials or byproducts. And then we also have a EU label, the CircLean label, which is again voluntary, as with the rest, is to give visibility and recognition to the effort and investment done in a circular economy, in industrial symbiosis application of what is supported by the project, notably the use of the monitoring and reporting, the use of the tools, etc. Next slide, please.
1 minute, please.
Yes, we are now, as key next steps, organizing 10 open innovation workshops in the member states that you see there. There will be, so we will be local, promoting the network, and we have also 2 network meetings. We will elect members of the management board to ensure the sustainability of the network, and we are building synergies with other initiatives through, for instance, an Horizon project that has been recently approved and it is now being finalized to be launched shortly, and also through our partners. Next slide, please. It is possible still to join the network, of course. So you just contact the secretariat and then your application is processed and you quickly become a member. The next slide, please. Join, we have a basic membership or an active one, depending on your interest and capacity. The active gives you access on playing a larger role in driving the network as well, whereas the basic membership still gives you a lot of benefits of the membership itself. The next slide, please. And these are 2 links to the first one, our website, and the second one, the matching tool. Or whatever query you may have that I'm not going to be able to respond today, or for time reasons, you can still kindly contact the email indicated in this slide. And now I thank you again, Antonio, for the patience, and I'm available for any queries.
Yes, thank you, Luigi. So there is a remark already in the chat saying that those who have passed the Insight training should join the CircLean network, and I know that some of our partners in Spire-Sais are members of CircLean, but however, we should have a meeting, discuss a closer cooperation and what could be done to, let's say, have a win-win situation for both for the network and the Skills Alliance.
It is indeed something that we welcome very much, and there have been already talks about this to ensure the continuity of the project, not as such necessarily, but as to benefit from the investments carried out. And maybe just one thing that I can mention is that CircLean is not competing with other platforms. It is really complementary because it only focuses on the monitoring and reporting. So it can offer this angle to complement other already ongoing initiatives that have a broader approach, or that focus more on advocacy versus facilitation. I'm seeing these, thank you, James, that as you're working on the chat, answering some questions, but maybe for all the public, the target of CircLean primarily is companies indeed, not individuals. Although individuals from companies join the work of the network for the innovation.
Okay, thank you very much. We are running a bit out of time. We are 5 minutes behind the schedule, but that I will close. I want to close this session with a question and asking for a very short answer. So, from your perspective, what can Spire-Sais learn from your rollout activities? Or let's say in the other round, what are the main relevant rollout elements to become successful? Could you please tell us, let's say, up to two topics which are relevant for a successful rollout? Maybe we start with the last speaker, Luigi.
Thank you. Quite a challenging question indeed, but I can offer some own ideas based on the experience also beyond the CircLean project. Engagement is key. Engagement is key on the one hand, so from the target beneficiaries of whatever action. So those who need to implement the rollout of an activity, they need to be on board from the beginning. At the same time, this is a difficult challenge because they need to be motivated and they need to be supported. And this means that awareness needs to be built through also specific activities for ensuring that they are aware of their role, they have the capacity to play that role, and the regulatory framework or financial framework is supportive for them to perform. In a nutshell, that's a good idea.
Thank you.
A lot of work and potential for Spire to play in this game.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's also a challenge for coordinating our consortium. Yannick, what could you tell us? You have to open your mic. Yeah, and camera. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. No, I think I think there is indeed room for cooperation. As I say, unfortunately, our project is coming to an end, but I still think that that we have. I mean, that all the partners from our project can indeed continue to cooperate. They can contribute to the Spire-Sais and to the continued discussion with the others.
Thanks a lot. I forgot to open my microphone. We will stay in touch. Jakub, a short answer, how to do it?
Yeah, so very quickly, I agree with Luigi, and of course, engagement and commitment on all levels is very important so that you can build further on that. And of course, stakeholders need to be on board, speaking about industry, speaking about education training providers on all levels, speaking about social partners, and also regions and regional representatives. So really engagement and commitment is the key. Work together, and we are all on the same boat while we are basically working on the skills agenda and trying to support the transformation of our sectors or ecosystems. So, and maybe do not reinvent the wheel, but build on existing initiatives, results, that is on European or regional and levels. So that would be my quick answer.
Yeah, yes, thanks a lot. For sure, we will stay in touch with the implementation activities in all over Europe. Dean, the last word is yours.
Thank you. Maybe a good one then, I guess. For me, it's simplicity. I think if what you're building is too complex, then you have. I agree with the what's been said in terms of engagement. That is very key. But to engage, I think you have to have a very clear message. I think if you're producing outputs that are overly complex, it can get in the way of that message. And so for me, it's about being clear about what you can offer in terms of tangible results at the rollout stage, and a simple message and way of delivering that, I feel. That's what I've found has been working for us.
Yes, thanks a lot. Also very important and additional point to be mentioned. Yes, this session is moderated by Evelina Pauksniete. I don't know if I pronounced it right. She's operation collaborator at A.Spire, and most of the people might know her very well. Evelina, please take over.
Thank you very much, Antonius, and good afternoon to everybody. And thank you, Antonius, for presenting me already. So my name is Evelina Pauksniete. I work for the A.Spire Association. As you may know, A.Spire represents 10 process industry sectors. Over 180 members are involved in our association. And A.Spire is also a partner in the Spire-Sais project. So before we start the session, I would like to briefly reflect on the interesting discussions that we had at the conference yesterday, where stakeholders gave their perspective on how they could benefit from the Spire-Sais blueprint. And here I'm referring to comments such as blueprint can provide a helicopter view and help having a better overall picture of training and skills in industries, also inspire organizations and partners to learn from each other, address the cross-cutting issues, among others. Then furthermore, as we saw in the poll earlier, the local and the national and the regional levels were considered as the priority ones for the rollout, which gives a good base for this session, where we will be exploring the potential cooperation for rollout at different levels. So today we are pleased to welcome 3 speakers who will be presenting their organizations and their initiatives, and try exploring a possible collaboration between their initiatives and the Spire-Sais blueprint. So I would like to welcome the first speaker, Jan Jones from Innopharma.
Yeah, hi Evelina.
Hi, Jan. So Jan is a founder and the president of Innopharma based in Ireland. Jan holds a PhD in process analytical technologies from Technological University in Dublin, also studied strategy, leadership, and innovation at Harvard Business School, accelerated growth strategies at Cambridge. Jan is also an adjunct professor at the University of Limerick, and he has worked for the past 25 years supporting high-tech manufacturing, where he has become a global thought leader on Industry 5.0 and associated technologies and skills strategies to drive the digital transformation on these key industries. Very impressive CV, I must say, and very relevant to what we're doing in the Spire-Sais project. So I welcome you, Jan, and I give you the floor.
Thank you, Evelina. I need to reduce that introduction. Thank you very much. So I'm conscious I only have 8 minutes, so if people do have questions, please include them in the chat. Thank you everyone for the opportunity to speak this morning. I guess the first slide is just to acknowledge Industry 5.0 and some of the recent publications a year ago and then most recently in January 2022 around this. We are big fans of this within Innopharma and advocates for it and champions for it. And the bringing together and the layering of societal values on top of Industry 4.0 tech to bring people to the core for the benefits of all in society, and demonstrating that leadership in Europe on a global stage is really, really important. So I just wanted to call that out and acknowledge that. If you could just move to the next slide, please. Innopharma, we're an education and a technology research institute. We're a higher education institute as well. And we support that global digital transformation of sectors like the pharmaceutical sector, med tech, chemical, agri-food tech, in supporting that global digitalization and sustainability transition. and skills are at our core and technology are at our core. And indeed, when you look at that wheel of all those technologies, our research side drive a lot of that. And what we do in reality and technology research side is we build not only sensors, but also our cloud-based architectures to get the data from the sensors and the machines around medicine manufacturing predominantly to enable light touch or lights out manufacture of medicines. So that's what we do. In terms of the collaborations, we collaborate with governments, with the European Parliament, with the Commission to address these skills challenges predominantly around digitalization. We led a side event last November as part of the UN General Assembly. We've also had great support from the Parliament around our initiatives. And really, our skills side, and the next slide probably talks about it a little more if you move on to it. And there's a few bits to the slide, but we'll stay with this bit for a minute. Really what we do on the skill side is we help people get the right skills to get the right jobs to further their career in these high-tech, still extremely buoyant industries like biopharma, medtech, food tech. And it's every level within the company, whether it's an operator or technician, all the way up to senior management. And what we do in public-private partnership, we work with other higher education institutions, with industry and with government to develop those initiatives and to coordinate them. And then you'll see from the map, that kind of is an understanding of, typically we're regional, we're not central. So even in Ireland, we have 3 or 4 key hubs, and we go where industry is, and we develop the skill sets and the human capital to support those sectors and to also support returners, people coming, return to work moms or carers who are returning to work. What are their supports? What are the skills they need? Coupled with switchers, people who are working in the corner shop but actually have a degree in botany or zoology but want to move into industry. How do we help them switch and then progress? There's people already working in these sectors who want to progress in their career. If you click again, there's another little bit which talks about various digital programs we have. Extremely small font, apologies, but basically we talk about this skill set transition from digitization, getting stuff from paper to glass, and the skills around that, through to digitalization, doing smart stuff with the data, through to digital transformation, to coordination and management of those types of transformations for these sectors. If you click again, there's one more little image, and it's about, yet again, sorry, small font, but it's about our approach, which is our Innopharma approach, which is public-private partnership with government and higher education institutions, coupled with our online digital laboratories, our capabilities there, coupled with our own learner management platform, which was built out over the last 4 or 5 years. We brought over 10,000 learners through our programs at this stage. If you move on to the next slide, it's we're not going to dwell on this one too much, but it just talks about the various types of skills. And these are the theoretical types of skills that have been proven out in literature. But I guess my point is we're going to say, yes, these are correct. Whether it is the skills of the future, the new business models, understanding those, what are those forces that are shaping the future of work? And then what are the key imperatives for the workforce of the future? It's developing those leadership capabilities, managing the integration of technology in the workplace, all of that. If we could just move to the next slide, please. So I'm going to pause here a little bit. We have, in partnership with the Irish government and with industry and with the government agencies, developed a digital maturity and sustainability assessment model, which helps across the primary value chain, secondary value chain, and around sustainability, helps the high-tech manufacturing sector understand their baseline, where they are, and understand benchmarking, where the best in class are, and to develop a roadmap and a strategy to improve. And that's really important to support the 300,000 people that work in those sectors in an Irish context, and the broader 8 to 10 million people that work in these sectors in the European context. And you can see here in terms of people and culture, what we look at is where are virtual and augmented reality going to impact, where does data consumption, data management impact, Industry 5.0, the roadmap, do they understand it? The role of the operator is another component. When we ask industry, do you understand the role of the operator and the technician in the future? And all these other ones. And if you click again, one more slide, yet again, it just, don't worry about the detail, but this is be it in black, where the least advanced versus the purple, which would be the middle of the road progressors, and the pink color is the actual best in class across these verticals. And this is a deep dive 2-week assessment with companies to help them working with their experts to understand their needs. And if you click to the next slide, please, I guess the outcomes are, we're seeing that, well over 50% of the top 10 pharma and medtech companies globally definitely acknowledge that the challenge around the operator technician at that applied level is a real focus for them. And digitalization are key to that. Managing talent in general and developing that progression within the industry is key, and bringing new people into that industry is very important in terms of progressing the growth of those sectors at a European level and at a global level. And then if you click again, if you don't mind, I guess to finalize, I think it's hopefully I've got across in a very quick way a flavor of what we do at scale in a public-private partnership model around those high-tech manufacturing sectors. But we also work with other sectors in terms of the implementation of similar model, both in an African setting and in other European member states. We feel it is a unique approach. It is data-led based on the approach we've talked about here, but also it's data evaluated in terms of KPIs, down to how many learners registered on our programs in different regions, how many have completed the program, how many have graduated, how many got jobs, how many progressed in their career, how did the industry improve their competitiveness. So it is KPI led as well. And that's what has realized the long-term relationships with governments and in terms of renewal of contracts and ensuring that learners continue to get those jobs and improve their careers. We would definitely see a benefit of those transversal skills and the longevity of those versus the shorter shelf life on the technical skills that we impart, especially in a digital world. The need for upskilling in a technical capacity is far greater now. The transversal skills, the broader societal skills have a greater longevity and should be embedded within our programs. And finally, there's a real opportunity to achieve this twin transition around digitalization and towards that climate neutral goal, through coordinated approaches, pan-European approaches that ensure that all European citizens are given the right skills to succeed, but also to demonstrate leadership on a global scale and a global stage, to show that this is how we can digitalize an economy and achieve climate neutrality without leaving anyone behind, and being respectful of everyone. And I think that type of leadership is needed now more than ever. Thanks very much for the time to present. Very happy to take questions now or later, and I'll pass back to you, Evelina.
Thank you very much, Jan. Indeed, a very interesting presentation, and we would definitely want to dive deeper. I guess we'll have some opportunities in the future. And in the meantime, I'm moving to Lara Porciatti from Arter. So Lara is a Senior Project Manager of Skills and Territories for Innovation Unit at Arter, based in the Emilia-Romagna region in Italy. Her focus is on the design and implementation of regional policies, and she's very active in the skills-related activities such as Skills Intelligentsia Emilia-Romagna project, part of Digital Skills Working Group, just to name a few. So I welcome you, Lara, and I'm giving you the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Evelina. Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yes.
Thank you, Evelina. Thank you for your introduction. Thank you, everyone, and good morning. I'm going to give my speech to share with you some insights from the regional perspective that we as Arte represent. In fact, as Arte, we are the joint stock consortium of the region of Emilia-Romagna, Italy, and our mission as a development agency is to foster in the regional innovation in a sustainable way and to promote knowledge, attractiveness, and internationalization of the regional system. I wanted to share with you why the regional level is so important. We before we have the outstanding speech and speaker that highlight the importance of working on regional local level, also for rollout activity in this specific context. And I want to share with you looking at the main problem, the main problematic phenomenon we are facing as society that have a knowledge economy, skills mismatch. That is a complex phenomenon that is not just referred to skill gaps and skill shortages, but also to different topics. In fact, we have companies that are looking for job profiles and skills according to a very fast changes in the background, and in particular when we are talking about green transition. But we know that at European level in particular, companies struggle in finding the right skills with their open position, and but the paradox is that we have at the same time young people that are not working, they are undergraduated or overgraduated, and this is very paradox. The youth employment that we are facing. Of course, there is also all the topic and that were well highlighted of reskilling, upskilling the current workforce. So we see that regional level and local level is the ideal context to face and to mitigate skills mismatch. Why? Because when we are talking about labor market needs, the regional and local level give the opportunity to be more effective in connecting different actors. And in fact, we can provide an integrative approach to skills governance. When we are talking about skill governance, we are also more and more introducing the idea of skills ecosystem. At the European level, we see even more this idea, this concept of skills ecosystem that at the regional level, at the local level, really can be implemented in a very effective way. Why? Because one main characteristic of skills ecosystem is the interdependence of actors in a system. Let's see which are these actors. Many of these already have been mentioned. Of course, policymakers and institutions like the regional government. In our cases, we have the education vet and higher education that represents the offer, the training offer, the offer of skills in a certain way. And we have the company that are demanding skills for their competitiveness. But don't forget, we have also individuals and civil society. This is something that we might forget, but individuals are the ones, the user of the skills offer from away, education, better, higher education, but also they are looking for a job, for a better job, for quality job, for quality opportunity, and individuals, especially young people, or workforce, current workforce, so adult learners have specific needs. So this is something that contribute to a skills ecosystem. And all these actors you can see are very connected and interdependent in an ecosystem. This is very important, and the effectiveness of the ecosystem is based on trust also. So it's something that is not possible to create in one day and to have it develop at the proper way, but it's something that is a process that we need to promote. And what is the role of policymakers in this ecosystem? Is the orchestra is providing the condition for partnership to develop, succeed, and ideally to scale up other initiatives. For example, the ones we are talking about in the specific. But how we can build a skills ecosystem, I want to propose you 4 aspects that I will show you how we in the region of Emilia-Romagna develop in our skills ecosystem. First of all, ensure the link between local and national or international efforts, in particular policy, good practices. Now, the link is very important because we don't want a local and closed ecosystem, and open to the connection. The second that is very important is use evidence-based analysis to understanding better the skills, because every activity, every action we want to move forward in our ecosystem should be based on data. And this is something that is very important when we are mitigating and facing the skills mismatch phenomenon. And then, of course, we need to build local public and private partnerships. That is very, very important, and give them an opportunity on a permanent level to have a platform for dialogue and make the networking coordination, so give the opportunity to collaborate among different stakeholders. But it should not be, of course, something like one spot activity, but on a permanent way. What we have done in Emilia-Romagna skills ecosystem.
Sorry, Lara, can I ask you to finish within 1 minute?
Yeah. Okay, just very briefly, this example within the smart specialization strategy, we as a policymakers will link our ecosystem to the smart specialization strategy policy, and using the data to connect it to our measures and policies and projects. We use a regional skills intelligence data set according to different sectors, including green. We work with the cluster that are association, private and public association, with the companies, research centers, vet providers, higher education institutions that permanently work together, and have also the opportunity with the regional forum to work on together on the topic of training and skills. Of course, in this, vet and vocational education training are very important. So this is something just to give you an idea of what can be done at regional level for roll up important activity at the regional level. So later on, if we have time to answer to your question, I will be glad. Thank you. Thank you, Velina.
Thank you very much, Lara. Indeed, quite a few talking points also with Jan, the first speaker, but also with the Spire-Sais blueprint. And now I'm moving to the last but not least the speaker of the session, who is Ignacio Calleja from EIT Raw Materials. Ignacio is a senior advisor of circular economy and recycling at EIT Raw Materials, and he holds a degree in organic chemistry, technology, and environmental management. Ignacio joined EIT Raw Materials as thematic officer for circular economy and recycling. He's leading the circular economy strategy, and he's currently involved in coordinating the cross-kicks and circular economy action. So welcome, Ignacio, and we are very much looking forward to hearing a bit about the European level and the European perspective in terms of the European community of practice that you will be participating in.
Okay, thank you for the introduction, Evelina. Firstly, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to participate in this event. To be honest with you, I think it's a special event for me because considering my previous link with A.Spire 7 years ago, so it's always nice to collaborate with you. So thank you. Yeah, next slide, please. To be honest with you, I think that I don't think there are anybody in the audience who doesn't know about the hubs for circularity concept developed within A.Spire. I think that you also had a definition of this concept of hubs for circularity from Dorota yesterday. So for me, this is a very interesting concept. I also participated in the development of the idea of this hubs for circularity. So the idea of this concept is to have a specific and concrete hubs for circularity working in industrial and urban symbiosis in Europe. So to have specific and concrete examples of hubs working effectively in this symbiosis approach. The idea could be to have different goals in the coming work programs for Horizon Europe to promote and to support the creation of these hubs. But I think that is not only that. I think we already have different hubs working in Europe in this symbiosis. With this symbiosis approach, we have Kallenburg, or we have other examples in Norway, Poland, or France, or Spain. So the idea of this concept is to take all these initiatives together and to support the collaboration and the exchange of information between all of them, because I really think that it's no sense to have different hubs or different symbiotic examples working in parallel without any coordination, without any link between all of them. Next slide, please. So we need something to coordinate, and we need something to manage this hubs for circularity flagship initiative from A.Spire and the GRTD. So A.Spire included a specific topic in the call 2021 of Cluster 4 in Horizon Europe. And the idea was to have one coordinated and support action with the main objective to coordinate and manage the implementation, the real implementation of this. At the end, during the evaluation process, 2 projects have been approved for this specific topic. So just now there is a very efficient and friendly process of discussion between the 2 different projects to create just one community of practice. Okay, so even if we will have 2 projects funded in this topic, at the end we will have only one community of practice in Europe to coordinate this hubs circularity initiative. So let me to tell you that the main or the 4 main objectives of this community of practice will be to create an EIT knowledge platform, to include all the relevant information in this platform. Okay, so to have all the participants in this hubs for circularity initiative will be able to check this knowledge platform to get the relevant knowledge regarding industrial symbiosis. It will be very important to define a business model for this initiative. To be very honest with you, all of us know that when we have the support of the European Commission in a project, everything is perfect, no problem. The problem is once the project is finished and we have to continue with the activities of this project without the support of the European Commission through this project. So it's going to be a very important part of this community of practice to define a realistic and efficient business model to keep this initiative ongoing even once the European Commission support through Horizon Europe is finished, okay? We will also develop a KPI toolkit to analyze the efficiency of the different hubs for circularity. It's also important to define the level of maturity of the different hubs for circularity. As I told you, we already have in Europe hubs for circularity with a very mature perspective, and we will have other hubs for circularity promoted in the Horizon Europe course with as a very early stage. We will also develop different policy recommendations to promote the efficient implementation of industrial symbiosis in Europe. And finally, as for every initiative, it will be also very important to promote the concept of hubs for circularity in Europe. So we will try to engage a very broad range of stakeholders, not only stakeholders representing industry, but also stakeholders representing universities, RTOs, policymakers, civil society, schools. The idea will be to have a very broad range of stakeholders to be contacted. Next slide, please, Belina. So within this of practice, we're dedicated to education, okay? We consider that education is absolutely key issue when aiming to implement in an efficient way the concept of hubs for circularity. And the idea, I also have to remark here that the community, the community of practice is not going to develop any new material, okay? It's not the purpose of this initiative to create or to develop new material. Thanks to this event, we know that there are plenty of ongoing initiatives developing courses, developing training materials, developing new educational approaches. So the idea of our idea within the community of practice is to analyze what is already there, to create or to facilitate the access to this information and to this material to all stakeholders involved in this hubs for circularity, and also to analyze whether there is any gap, any existing gap when we talk about education for industrial symbiosis. Maybe it's not the case. Maybe we analyze the information and we conclude that we have materials, so we have educational approaches for almost everything, and the only point is to disseminate and to make this information easy access to the different stakeholders. And the idea is also to have a final workshop in collaboration with the CrossKick Circular Economy Community and DG Education at the end of the project. Next slide, please. Last one.
30 seconds, Ignacio. Please.
Okay, so yeah, I also remark the first day that it will be important to link Spire-Sais with the KICS initiative. I think you know that just now we are 8 KICS in Europe, and one very relevant activity within all the KICS is the educational side. So we have plenty of information. We have many courses developed by each KIC. Not all those courses and not all this education information is focused in industrial symbiosis, but we have some very nice examples of specific projects, educational projects focused in industrial symbiosis. And from the EIT raw material side, I would like to remark the INSYS CAP project coordinated by TU Delft. And this is a very nice initiative, a very nice example of how to bring together universities and companies to work in ideas to implement industrial symbiosis. Not only that, I also told you about the CrossKick Circular Economy initiative. And this is an initiative coordinated by EIT Raw Materials with the participation of EIT Climatic, the EIT Digital, EIT Food, EIT Manufacturing, and EIT Urban Mobility. So we have created a specific tool, which is the Kumu tool. You have the link there. And in this link, you can check all circular economy related activities for all, from all the KICs. Just now we have more than 1,000 activities related to circular economy, and many of them are very closely related to circular economy. You will have here the opportunity to check any educational project for any of these participating KICs related to industrial symbiosis. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ignacio. Sorry that I have to cut you, and that we have to stop here. This is a very relevant input, of course. And since we have so little time left, I just want to ask for the last contribution, the last input from all three of you. So could you point one collaboration opportunity that you see between your initiative and the Spire-Sais blueprint for rollout? Very briefly, if you could just mention one thing which is, you think, the main one, and maybe Ignacio, we start with you.
Yeah, I think after my presentation, I think it's very clear that it's a huge, I don't see a potential, I see a huge potential between the Spire-Sais and the Hubs for Circularity Community of Practice. At the end, as I told you, we are going to compile all the information. You have the information, and we are going to create this group of experts in education for industrial symbiosis. So your participation, both providing information, helping us to define how to facilitate the access to information, and your participation in the expert group will be absolutely essential.
Thank you very much, Ignacio. Lara, can I ask you to be next?
Yeah, of course, the result of the project, in particular of the blueprint, will have a strong connection to our regional skills intelligence activity, because all the data that we collected at European level would be very useful for our activity, and of course to roll out all the structure among our clusters, actors connected to, to the regional policy would be for sure possible and and effective.
Thank you very much, Lara. And Jan, your input is also very welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Evelina. I guess taking our public-private partnership model, I think is there are opportunities there. Like we are trying, the need in Europe is to develop mechanisms that can deliver these skills at scale. So I think that's part of our challenge, not only on the content side, but it is the infrastructure and the ability to deliver at scale will be key. And the other final point I'd say is, I think there has been a lot of good momentum in terms of policy over the last 3, 4, 5 years around skills, which has been excellent. But now there has been an allocation of budget at a very, very high level, looking towards Horizon Europe, towards recovery and resilience funds in various member states. But I think where we're lacking is implementation and an ambition at scale. And I think that's the next phase is action and implementation. And we don't have a day to wait. We need to start implementing now.
Great. Thank you very much for your input and for your contribution to today's session. We look forward to being in contact and cooperating in the future.
Urska Primec of the European Agency for Education, Audio, Visual and Culture Executive from the Executive Agency. And she is also a project officer at the European Commission. So please, Urska, tell us something about what we can take from the Erasmus Plus funding possibilities.
Yes, hello everybody. I hope you can hear me. Thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Urska Primec. I work in the executive agency in Unit A2 for innovation and skills. I'm also the project officer of this Spire-Sais blueprint project. So it was very interesting to follow all the presentations. But now I would just like to give you a presentation of the funding possibilities in VET to promote a bit our actions. And I will not be long. I know we don't have a lot of time, but I would just like to pass you really the key messages hopefully it would raise your attention. So we can go to the next slide and the next one. Key actions in Erasmus 2021-2027. As you can see, there are many key actions, but I will just zoom into key action 2, cooperation, because here we have the project that our unit is managing, and I can tell you a bit more about it. Especially, I will focus on partnerships for excellence here, centers of vocational excellence, and partnerships for innovation, alliances for education and enterprises, and of course, you already know the blueprint alliances. If we move to the next slide, as you can see, the mobility under Key Action 1 is managed by the national agencies. Also the partnership for cooperation. So here I will not, of course, present any of them, but I will move on to the ones that presented by, managed by our agency. So here in VET, we have partnerships for excellence and partnerships for innovation, as I managed. If we move on, I will dig right into it. Also the next slide. The next slide. Yes, and go into partnerships for excellence. So the first one, Centers of Vocational Excellence, that my colleagues are managing. I don't know if any of you submitted the application. You have been informed in the last, I think it was last week, about the results. So we are already in the next period, and there is an info session organized by my colleagues on Monday. So if you are interested, please have a look. For Centers of Vocational Excellence, the idea is, of course, to establish a world-class, let's say, reference point for on VET. And COVES will operate on national level, where they will work together with different stakeholders, so local businesses, research centers, universities, social partners, and so on, to promote local innovation, regional development, and social inclusion. I have to say that this is now the 3rd year that this action will be running, which means that we already have 7 COVs running. And now we have selected further, I think it was 13. So we will have, as you can see, over the period of 7 years, around 100 COVs functioning, and 400 million is earmarked for this action. So if you're interested, the applicant can be any organization established in a program country, but then for the partners, it's a bit more broad. So it's not only the program countries, so Erasmus program countries, but also the other, basically the whole world, as if I can say. So many countries are eligible to be partners, but of course they need to bring something to the partnership. Those are quite big projects. So you need to have at least 8 full partners from a minimum of 4 program countries. And there are some additional eligibility criteria. So you need to have at least 1 enterprise and at least 1 VET provider. EQF levels that you would need to address can be at any EQF level, but must include at least levels 3, 4, 5, so to cover VET. Maximum grant, as I said, those are also big projects. So 4 million with 4 million euros per project with 4-year duration. So as I mentioned, you will get more details from my colleagues on Monday if you attend the session. And the deadline to submit the application is 15th of September. So there is quite enough time to prepare the application if you're interested. Okay, moving on. We move to alliances for innovation. So we have different lots, 2 of them. Just before digging a bit more in, so we are, I don't know if anybody applied for Alliances for Innovation in the previous cycle. We didn't inform the applicants yet. Unfortunately, we received a lot of applications, so it took a bit of time, but next week, the notifications will be out, so the results will be known. But going into the next year already, so lot 1, Alliances for Education and Enterprise, with 13 million available, which could fund around 25 projects. So the alliances, again, those are quite big partnerships. You need to have 8 full partners minimum from 4 program countries, and you need to have on board at least 3 labor market actors and 3 education and training providers. And here you need to have at least 1 vet present and at least 1 higher education institution present. So these are the eligibility criteria. And then for the grants, as I mentioned, 1 million for 2-year, 1.5 for 3-year projects. I will not go into many more details because it's quite comprehensive, and you can get all in the program guide. Now we will not organize an info session for alliances this year because there are not a lot of changes from the previous one. So if you're interested, I invite you to have a look at our info session from last year. It's very informative, and you can get many more tips than there are in the program guide, of course. But still, we will in the next weeks publish some toolkit that could help you with your application. You know, we will put there what we have learned from the previous cycle, because last year it was the first time that Alliances for Innovation that ran. So we will also provide some more tips. Have a look at the EACEA website, where in the next weeks we will publish more information. The deadline is 15th of September. Moving on to lot 2, as you know it already really well, is the blueprint with 32 million earmarked for the next year. So there are 14 industrial ecosystems that are eligible, linked to the Pact for Skills, which Felix already mentioned before, quite in detail. So I will not go into any more details. Just to, as it's for your project, the grant that you can request is 4 million for a 4-year project. Again, it's the same as for lot 1 because it's under the same call for proposals. You can get more information from the info day from last year, and as I said, in the next weeks we will publish more information about tips and so on. So I suggest we move on to the next one. Forward-looking partnership, here's another possibility. However, I would not like to dig into more into this because the deadline unfortunately is approaching. So it's 15th of March. So I'm not sure if you have enough time to present an application. It's really in 10 days. The colleagues have already prepared an info day. It was in January, so you can also get more information there. But as I said, the deadline is really approaching. But just to mention, this is again quite a nice action with 3 different lots, cross-sectoral priorities, vocational education and training, and adult education. But just to give you a bit of a flavor, so forward-looking projects are also big projects, large scale. They aim to identify, develop, test, and assess innovative policy approaches that have the potential of becoming mainstream and thus improving education and training. So this is also one action that maybe could raise your attention for the future, perhaps. Moving on. Okay, and I would like to also present as a last one, actually, this new action that my colleagues are running, implementing. Capacity building for vets in international cooperation. This is really the first time that this action exists. Before it was capacity building in higher education, but this year also in vet. Also for this one, unfortunately, the deadline is approaching. It's end of this month, 31st of March. So there is also not a lot of time left. The information is available. The colleagues had an info day, so you can also get more information there. But just quickly to summarize, so the aim is to support the relevance, accessibility, responsiveness of vet institutions and systems in third countries, of course, not associated to the program. The budget earmarked is 26 million. Still, the applicant needs to be from the program country, so it cannot be from the third countries. And then, of course, the partners can be also from the third countries. So these projects are a bit smaller. You can request a grant from 100,000 euros to 400,000 euros, and they run from 1 to 3 years. So this I thought maybe could be interesting maybe for some of you. So here I will into the next slide. I will finish my presentation here. I just want to again raise your attention for the deadlines. 2 are approaching really fast, but you have more time for COVE with deadline 7 of September, and 1 more week for alliances. So 15th of September is the deadline. Please have a look at the Erasmus Plus program guide for more information. As I mentioned many times, our website with info days, and also on the funding and tender opportunities portal. For all of these actions, we publish regularly frequently asked questions. Many of the questions that you might have, you can find there. But if you do not find it, of course, you can write to us at any time to functional mailboxes of all the actions that I mentioned. So hopefully I raised some attention, and you might will want to submit for any of these actions. Thank you. If you have any questions, of course, available.
Yes, thanks a lot, Urska, for this comprehensive overview and highlighting that there are a lot of chances to improve skills and qualifications via European Commission's support. From my perspective, the COVE calls are very interesting, and we are looking also from the Spire-Sais perspective to collaborate with these excellence areas across Europe.